This is episode 6, Biomechbball. You're training with Rossi G, Roro G Field, R Green 54. We're going to talk about what's the role as a teacher of movement. So if you're teaching somebody a sport, if you're teaching somebody to lift, anything that involves moving, if you're a physical therapist, what's your role? And this gets very skewed, and this question has a lot to do with the principles of motor learning in itself. And I think to understand your role, you have to look at the person on the other side. What is their goals? So if I have a basketball player, I have a young player, they're coming to me. Their goal is to be really, really good at basketball. So what's their goal? And I'm going to jump to a scenario, an analogy. I learned by myself how to ripstick. And for those of you that don't know what that is, it's kind of like a two-wheel waveboard where you have to swivel your hips back and forth to maintain balance and maintain like a forward trajectory of the board, or else you'll fall down. And I figured out how to do that all by myself. I tried, I got on, I was learning from my experience, you know what, this is not working. I got to figure out a way to stay on the board and practice getting on the board. Practice moving while I'm on the board. So I was thinking, you know what, I'm just gonna go to the top of my hill in my driveway, put it down and just ride down the hill 100 times, 1,000 times, and then practice moving with the board as it moves. And that's how I got the hang of it. And now I'm very good at ripsticking, and I'm always going to be good at it. I've never lost that skill. It'll be 5 years, I'll hop back on, and it's like riding a bike. So I didn't have somebody teaching me, and I got it eventually. And I would argue that way of learning by yourself, just through experience, is better than somebody who's helicoptering over you, telling you how you should do things. Because when you're in that situation, you're losing the active experience of learning. That's the best way to learn, and that's the best way to recall information. And we know from just learning and motor learning that the recall is that's the biggest variable. Are you able to recall that information? And if you're not, then you should really look at, all right, how am I learning? So if I had a player, would I let them just learn it all on their own? If I would do that, what's the point of me? But would I helicopter over them and just give them a ton of concurrent feedback, a ton of feedback after each set? Would I do that? Because now I'm kind of taking away that learning experience, and they're going to be relying on me to help them learn. So how I look at it is that trainers shouldn't train. You don't train an athlete. You cultivate an athlete. You give them support, you give them confidence, you give them positive feedback. Like, of course, you're going to be critical, but it's all coming from a positive lens. You just give them positivity. You cultivate them, and they learn. So now we have to get into the difference between knowing how to do something and a skill. They're two completely 100% different things. You can teach someone how to do something. You can't teach them how to be skillful at it. You could teach someone how to do something. You can't teach them how to be skillful. You can cultivate them to become skillful by putting them in the right situations to hone their skills, but you can't force it down them. Never works. So if I have a new player, most players, I am going to teach them, I am going to helicopter them, give them a ton of feedback to start, to teach them how to play, teach them how to shoot, teach them how to dribble. First, teach them the biomechanics of general human movement to be just in general a better functioning human being. Translate that to the court, build a base of strength, teach them how to do the individual skills, teach them the game. What's the best way to play? How are you going to be playing at the most elite levels? What's the best way to play? Not if you were going to go to a park, what's the best way to play at a park? No. What's the best way to play for your goals? Whatever your goals are. If someone's coming to me and they want to just play at the park and be really good, that's their goal. So then I would be like, what's the best way you could play at the park? But most people are trying to play organized basketball, team basketball, to play at a really high level. What's the best way to learn that? So now I'm going to teach them that fundamentally, how to run in transition, how to be determined every single time to do all the little things as far as screening, the details of screening, the details of half-court offense, the details of closing out, the details of half-court defense, principles of the game that apply to any system, unless you're running a play. Applies to any system, just knowing how to play the game the right way, which a lot of people don't know how. A lot of people that would come to me, I don't care how old you are. I was watching some NBA games yesterday. They're coming to me. I'm going to teach them how to play. Most people, 99% of people, don't know how to play the right way. Playing the right way means 100% of the time, you're sprinting to the corners. 100% of the time, if your job is to crash, you're crashing. 100% of the time, you're setting up screens, setting up cuts. I was watching the Lakers. I saw Avery Bradley. I saw Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. They're two good players. But they ran that stupid 1-4 high stagger screen on the opposite side, and they're coming off the screen. There's no setup. They know the play is coming, and they just blow it up. And now there's no time on the shot clock. I'm sure Frank Vogel wouldn't get upset if Kentavious Caldwell-Pope and Avery Bradley bring their man down first, put pressure on their man that they might go back door, and then that creates a little bit more room, maybe enough room to get open. So it's those little things that you have to learn, and they're not easy to learn, but they're important to learn, because once you learn the fundamentals of movement and of the specific thing you're trying to do, the specific sport or the specific activity you're trying to do, then you have a solid foundation. The problem is people are training and they're building skills, not the knowing how. They think they know how to play, so they're playing a different game because they learned how to play a different game, and they're building intuition onto that foundation. And then what happens is that player is seen as a very good player for his athletic ability, XYZ, whatever, and he gets to the college level, and now he has to learn how to play the right way under a coach, and now build back his intuition, his skill from that new foundation that he's created. So might as well learn the foundation first and then play. And also, this will make you a better player before college. You'll be a better player if you just know the tendencies of the game. So skill versus knowing how. You teach someone how to, and then you put those people that you taught in situations where they can build their skill, build their intuition, something you can't teach but you can cultivate. Right? So at that point, there's less feedback. When they're building skill, there's less feedback. There's less helicoptering over the person. You're just giving them confidence. You're giving them some feedback. You're answering their questions, but now you're just putting them in positions to go learn themselves. That's the role. That's your role. And your role depends on what stage is the athlete or person on. What stage? Do they not even know how to play? Or do they know how to play, and now you have to let them learn skill themselves? That's something that it's intuition. You don't teach that. It comes from experience. A ton of reps, good reps. So if someone, for example, if someone just always drives with their head down and they're good at getting in the lane like that sometimes, but sometimes they just turn the ball over, and now they're building skill and intuition off playing that way when it's not as optimal, then your potential is decreased. Build the foundation, build the floor of the house, then stack it up. Then build the walls, then build the roof, right? You need the floor first. You need that foundation. It's like someone squatting and their lower back is rounding very early in the movement, and they get strong at that pattern. But I know, and then they come to me, but I know that you have a greater chance of sustaining a low back injury if you squat that way. Now they've built all this strength in that position, but now I'm going to just tear it all down and rebuild the foundation. So you might as well just get that foundation right, optimize how good you could become, your potential, and then build. So I think that's the crux of it. Yeah, that's how I would treat 99% of people from what I see, is teach them how to play, teach them how to think, how to be disciplined in the game, and then build their skill from there. Because you could go a long way if you just know how to play and are very good at shooting threes. Shooting threes is not really a skill. It doesn't take intuition. It takes knowing how to do it. You know how to shoot a three. You know the form to shoot a three. It doesn't take observation of many variables and experience to shoot a three. No, I could teach someone how to shoot a three. That's something I would teach. If you were just good at shooting a three and just shooting a pull-up, just reading your man, which is teaching someone how to do it, and you knew the game, you did everything the right way, that would take you far. Just that in itself. All right, so this was episode 6. Biomechbball. See you guys later.